welcome to my channel. My name is Catherine and I live in Hertfordshire in the United Kingdom. This is my channel where I share mainly knitting, some crochet and just general bits of life as well. It's lovely to have you back if you're a returning viewer, and if you're a new viewer, hello and welcome. So, I podcasted last week for the first time in a long time, so it was very nice to get some comments from people who'd watched me before, so I felt encouraged to give it another go. Today I thought I'd try filming on my actual camera rather than my iPhone, so we'll see if the quality's improved. I've also moved away from the window. I think the light was very bad by the window and I've actually closed it because of the noise. There's a little bit of outside noise that I could hear, so it's a bit of a dull corner, but I think the lighting's okay, so it's lovely to have you here. And so what have I got to share with you? This week I thought I'd share some of my current works in progress with you. No finished objects, I showed you those in my last episode if you want to check that out. I've been working away on a few new projects. First up, I am taking part in the Coronation keepsake cowl, which is a crochet along. I've never done a crochet along before, and so when I saw this one I fancied giving it a go. It's a free pattern by Sirdar. You download the pattern every week. It's actually been designed by a lady called Anita. You can find her at Made by Anita. She's working with Sirdar, and I just thought it was nice. Actually, my mum said she was going to do it, and I was like, oh, I think I'll do it too. And she really nicely bought me the yarn for my birthday, which was a couple of weeks ago. I didn't get the yarn pack because they weren't available, but all the differences with the yarn pack is you get a little label. So I'm a week behind, so it's published weekly. I think it's 5 weeks. And you do a little bit, you get the pattern each week, and then you work on the pattern. The following week you get the next part, and it should be finished in time for the coronation of King Charles in May. I'm not a huge royalist, but I do want to watch the coronation, and I just thought it was a really nice thing to do. So the yarn is Hayfield Bonus, which is an acrylic yarn, premium acrylic. It crochets up quite nicely, it's not splitty, and I'm hoping it will wash really well. So I am a pretty basic crocheter. I've done granny stitches and I've done a couple of blankets before. I've done this, actually I totally lied when I said I haven't done a crochet along before. I did not the Spice of Life crochet along with Cherry Heart. I did the Spicier Life, I think that's what it's called, a Spicier Life. And it was that same kind of thing, you downloaded it in weeks, but that was a stripy pattern. I've got 2 of those, perhaps I can show you those another week. They haven't washed that well actually, they're Stylecraft Special. I think I tumble dried them, but they're fine. Actually the cats are sleeping on them, but they're really, really lovely and I really enjoyed them. So this is worked in rounds though, which is quite different. You have to put a little stitch marker here at the front to mark the front and back, because what she does is flips it over, which keeps your granny square straight. I don't really have a problem with my granny squares going out of shape, but I've followed the pattern to the letter, so I think there's somebody who wants to come in. So where was I? So yes, I'm following the pattern to the letter. So it starts off with a granny square, and it's a bit of a big space because you're going to have the English rose here, and then she's designed a crown and an auburn sceptre and also a Scottish thistle, a daffodil, or is it a leek? I'm not quite sure. So it's ones for all the different countries in the United Kingdom, I think. So I'm going to have a flower. I'm probably going to have the auburn sceptre. We'll see. So it starts off with a granny square. It's a free pattern, so I can tell you all about it. Some double crochet, and then here you've got this beautiful wave stitch, which was quite challenging, only in the fact, not the stitches, but you just have to count, you have to skip stitches, just to make sure that your pattern works out. And the blue is to represent King Charles, his time in the Navy. And I'm now on week 3, which is this lovely shell stitch pattern. We've got a green and a lime green here. And week 3 I think is to represent his interest in conservation, but I'm thoroughly enjoying it, and it's nice because my mum is ahead of me, so if I get a bit stuck, she's already done it. But her top tip is to count, and that does make a difference, because I counted these granny squares and I think I had to have 28 on each side, and I counted them and there was 28 as far as I was concerned. I've done it all right, and then when I came to do the next bit, it just wasn't working, and then I counted them again, and somehow I managed to make 29 on one side. I have no idea what I did, so unfortunately there was a bit of ripping back. So the rounds are, but I want to have it right, so the rounds take quite a long time. In an evening I'm just doing 1 or 2 rounds. So when I finish week 3, it's going to get really beautiful, because you've got the little jewels that all go around the edge, and there's a load of them, 49. They're only small, but I haven't even started those yet, so I think I'm going to be behind, but there's no rush with it, as long as it's finished by May, and it's nice. So this is my Coronation keepsake blanket, and you've got a range of colours. So obviously you've got the white, actually it's cream, but it's really off-white. When I worked in Hobbycraft, we sold this yarn, and the cream and white used to drive me mad, because people would put the cream and the white in the same little cubby hole, and they're virtually the same. It's not a very creamy cream. So you've got cream red, there's a sky marl, you've got I think it's called frost blue, which is this pale blue, and I don't know what this blue, cornflower blue, which is a really lovely colour. And then it's going to have some purple, obviously purple and gilt for the regal, for the royal part of the blanket. So that's my crochet Coronation keepsake. I have woven some of the ends in, but I think I've done the first week, but I was meaning to finish the week first, make sure there was no mistakes before I wove them in. But the back is quite pretty as well, I think. I think really you could have it either way. So my Coronation keepsake crochet blanket. So that is taking up quite a lot of my time, because I'm trying to get that done. So we'll pop that beside me. Right, as I said, I want these videos to be fairly short, so that's why I'm just going to share some whips with you this week. I don't have any finished objects anyway, but if I did, I think I'm just going to try and keep it to the minimum content. Right, what have I got for you next? Next is a pair of socks. So this yarn is West Yorkshire Spinners, of course, Christmas colourway, sparkly, and I believe it's called Vintage Fairy Lights. It's really, really lovely. So it's a self-striping yarn, and I just wanted to knit a plain vanilla sock, but with a bit of interest. So what we've got here is a rib sock, and I'm following a pattern by Atherley. I believe it's called Simple Rib Sock, but obviously the notes will be below when I get around to it. But it's definitely by Atherley, and it's very easy to follow. It's got a Dutch heel, Dutch heel, and I've got as far as the toe. Have I started the toe? Let me have a little look. I've just begun the toe decreases, so there's not much to do on this sock, but I think they're going to be really, really lovely. So Vintage Fairy Lights. So I suppose they could be called the Vintage Fairy Light socks. Needles, DPNs. As you know, I learnt to knit on Magic Loop, and I quite like Magic Loop, and I've mastered it, but truthfully DPNs are just my go-to. I think Magic Loop is really brilliant if I'm in the car, so if we're going to have a pair of socks that I take with me, Magic Loop is probably better, because these come in packs of 5, and one of these disappeared into my car. It's a bit of a sad story actually, but it worked out alright in the end. I went to a cat show in December with my daughter in Coventry. We drove up early and went into the cat show, had a lovely day. I was with my daughter and her boyfriend, and then it was dark obviously because it's December when we came outside. I walked around the car park and we had all the stuff. We were going home, actually coming back the next day because it's a 2-day show, but we decided to go home and come back the next day because it's not too long a drive, about an hour. Walked around the car park and I was like, I swear I parked over there, and they were getting really cross with me, going, you're just silly, you can't remember where I parked, you can't remember where you parked your car. Anyway, then I went inside and I said, look, I can't find my car, I don't know if I'm being crazy. So a nice chap went and had a little look around the car park, and he was like, there's no silver Ford Fiesta there. And some naughty person had stolen my car. So it was awful. So Becca and Louie got the train home, and I checked into a hotel because I had 2 cats and luggage, and I was supposed to be coming back the next day. Anyway, to cut a long story back, they came back on the train next day, we did the cat show, and then we had to take the cats and everything back on the train, but it wasn't too bad because I had 2 people with me. But the car turned up about a week later, had to be written off, so then I had to wait for the insurance money and bought myself a new car. Obviously not a new car, you don't get as much money, but at least I have transport again. But yeah, really frustrating, but actually the car was a bit beaten about, so I actually got a nicer older car but in nice condition, so silver linings and all that. But yeah, that was really bad. But I'm digressing really, but one of these needles disappeared in that car, so there's no hope of me ever finding it because I don't have the car anymore. So this is a lovely pattern if you want a rib sock, and it's free as well, free download as well. So there we are. And I have found my sock blockers, but I forgot to bring them in the room, so hey, never mind. So just pop them there by my side. Okay, so we've got more socks. At the start of the year, I just watched Stephen West videos. I've never done any of his patterns as well. I love them all, and I'm thinking, oh, I might do that shawl, but it's like, oh, another shawl, and it's time, and I just think, oh, I'll add them to my wish list on Ravelry. But when I saw him bringing out his year of socks, I was like, I might take part in that because I can do his funky patterns, but just on a sock, and it won't take me so long. So I purchased the ebook, which means you get a pattern each month. So far he's released 2 or it must be 3, I think they've come out now, and I've started the first 2. So the first one I've started is the painting bricks sock. Painting bricks? Painting blocks? I think it's painting bricks, double check. And it's a great stash buster sock. So look at this. Isn't it pretty? Oh my goodness me. So it's got a lovely squishy cuff because he actually teaches you how to do a folded, like a double cuff, which I think he uses on a lot of his jumpers. So it's quite a long cuff, longer than I would do, but I followed the pattern. Okay, and I'm actually using black, which is stash yarn, so that's great. It's the yarn I mentioned that I bought a long time ago to make some Hufflepuff socks. It's Cascade Heritage, and I have black and yellow in my stash that are going to be from Hufflepuff socks that never worked out. And I thought, well, actually, I can't knit a whole sock in black, but it'll make quite a nice contrasting sock. And this is stash yarn as well. This is leftovers from a pair of cable socks I've got that I knitted quite a long time ago. I've still got them. It is Regia. I'll have to look up the colourway. It is on my Ravelry page, so we'll have a look. But it's really beautiful. But with the black, it makes really beautiful bricks. So the interesting thing about this as well is it has got a garter stitch heel, which he seems to do in all of his socks. I think somebody taught him this heel. It's very nice. The only thing I'm a bit concerned about with it is because it's garter stitch, it doesn't look that structured, so I'm worried that it will wear out. But I'm following the pattern just because so I can say I've knitted the sock. But yeah, I suppose I could learn darning. So I've just started the next bit. So it's going to have stripes at the bottom, and then should have untangled this before the video, shouldn't I? I don't know, because you've got all the different ends, it's got a bit tangled up. But I've just started the stripes, so it'll have the bricks at the front and the stripes. But it's really, really, really nice. So yeah, there's the heel. The only bit that's a bit messy is the joining the round. I don't think that can be helped. Maybe it'll block out a bit. I have looked at people's pictures and I can't see anybody else's that looks quite like this, but I think they just disguise it in the photos. So that will be on the ankle. The only thing that bothers me is like one will be on the right ankle on the inside and the other will be on the left ankle. No, hang on a sec. So if this is my right foot, it will be on the inside of my right foot and it will be on the outside of my left foot. If I was going to be truly, or I don't know, maybe I would try and reverse it, say the join's here. Truthfully, what I like to do in my own socks is have the join down the back. A lot of people, most sock patterns seem to have the join on the side. I actually prefer it down the middle of the back. I just like having pretty sides of my socks, but it's just one of those things. I don't think it will show really. I don't know what your thoughts are. But I don't think you can avoid that little step where you join it. But yeah, I've done quite a lot of that one. So that is the painting brick sock. And I'm using my Chalgoo needles. I think it's 2.5 because it needs to be a bigger needle to give it a bit, because you've obviously got the colour work. And you've got the colour work, so you don't want to do it too tight. And you carry your yarn as you go, so it's going to be nice and warm and squishy. There's not going to be loads of ends to join in either. You don't break the colours, so I don't think you do. I can't remember now. Yeah, so I'm really pleased with that. Okay, next up is another Stephen West sock. So this sock is the cabling spiral sock. No, this sock is the cabling trellis sock, and I am in love with this sock. Oh, I really think it's going to be so gorgeous. Okay, can you see it? So it's a similar effect. He likes a lot of garter stitch. So you've got knit and then you've got garter rows. It's a slip stitch pattern that forms these trellis as well. Just lovely. And the light coloured yarn is some yarn I got for my birthday, which is West York's. Well, I didn't. I got a wool warehouse. I got a wool warehouse voucher for my Christmas present, and I spent it on sock yarns. So I bought this plain yarn, which is Milk Bottles, the colourway, and this is West Yorkshire Spinners. Because what I wanted was some crazy Zower ball, and I thought if I'm going to do stripy socks that contrasting with like a cream, I think it goes really well. So I love this colour. You've got blues and turquoises and light pinky purples. It's just going to be so gorgeous. So I haven't got that far on. Ooh, lost my ball. I haven't got that far on this sock, but it's because the crochet blanket's taken over, but I'm really pleased with it. It's going to be so lovely. It has a Ravelry group as well where people are posting all their pictures of their socks, and it's so lovely. So watch this space for this year. There should be some Stephen West socks that are coming along as well. Now I know this has the garter stitch heel as well, so I think I might actually just replace it with a slip stitch heel, which I prefer, but that's just personal preference. This is knitted on 2.25s, and these are zings that I'm using. So most of my sock needles are pretty much being used up at the moment, so I'm really pleased. So hopefully you've enjoyed seeing what I'm working on at the moment. I hope you've enjoyed listening to me again. I hope the video's okay. I'm going to try and keep working on it, find the best location in my home. I'm filming this room because it's fairly quiet, so it's a bit of a dull corner. Perhaps I could put some pictures up on the wall. Not this low though normally, so I don't know, but yeah, I think it's better to have a nice background as well, but there's lots I can do to improve. But I'm really glad to be back and getting back into it. I can only get better. So if you have liked this video, please give me the thumbs up. You can subscribe and be notified when I upload new content. please leave me a comment. It's so lovely to hear from you and what you're doing and what you like, and also to hear where you're from as well. It's just nice having a little community of people to talk to about my knitting, because I don't really know anybody apart from my mum that's interested. Anyway, I'm going to go now. I'm going to take the dog out for a walk this afternoon, so maybe I'll give you a little bit of footage of a rainy walk because it's rubbish here again. So take care, see you next time. Bye.